Reena Norville is my next guest, and she will compete next at LFA 94 on October the 30th when she meets Loveth Young. Reena, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good, and I'm excited to see you make your professional debut. Before we dive into all of that, I want to backtrack a little bit. Your last fight was almost a year ago now. It was on October the 5th. You got a unanimous decision win over Mariah Miller, and you've been finishing people left and right. Three finishes, and this was your first unanimous decision win. How important was it for you to, go the full distance and show you can do that?
Well, it's one of those things that my coaches were kind of a little bit on the fence if I could last all 3 rounds because all of my fights, like there's only one fight that went into the second round before that. All the rest were, knockouts in the first minute. So, it was one of those things where we need to see how I can perform. Through it, do I have a gas tank? Can I change tactics if this is prevalent and I need to do this instead? So it was cool to be able to do that and to also showcase a little bit of my ground game as well.
What was it like for you and your husband Shane, like throughout this pandemic and everything that we've all gone through? I know it's been a little bit different for everyone, depending on where you're at in the country. But just tell me what it's like been like for you in Southern California.
Southern California has been frustrating. Um, we've had some of the toughest restrictions in the country, and it takes a toll on you mentally. Like there's so many days where I'm just like in the gym where that's my only scapegoat where I can go and sort of feel normal. And so that fighting has actually helped like the quarantine portion of it. We've had issues with our company because of quarantine and all that kind of stuff because people don't want us to be working on their houses because they don't want exposure, and it's frustrating with, and then trying to get groceries and all that stuff, and it wears on you, and it wears on a marriage as well. So we had to basically just step back and make time for ourselves, require a date night, get what's it called, creative with our date nights, as opposed to going out, maybe making dinner and having a nice porch dinner on the nice night out, and making it candlelight stuff. It's you have to get creative. It's hard.
For sure. Did you guys get into anything like movies or Netflix? Is there something else outside of, combat sports that you guys really do enjoy doing together?
Yeah, we have a well, we love going to movies. That's kind of one of our other scapegoats is movies. But the theater's been closed, so we've been binging shows, and obviously Kingdom because MMA based. And we happen to like a lot of the history shows, kind of like Vikings and The Kingdom. And so we just been binging those kind of things. Scary shows like the House on Haunted Hill and stuff. We love that kind of stuff. So we've been kind of binging those things.
Now, he's clearly an accomplished mixed martial artist. How has he really helped your game evolve to that next level?
Immensely. I don't think I could be where I'm at without him, at least not this quickly. He knows what it takes to get to this level. He, physically, mentally, all that stuff. So he's helped me with all of that stuff. He knows that, if I'm training, I have to do this, I have to do that. And these are the certain times and days and how much cardio I need to be doing. And he'll help me coach me into that and be like, hey, you kind of didn't do too much today. You might want to get on the bike. I'm like, good point. Got it. Maybe you ate a little bit more. Maybe we should do a little bit more working out. And, there's those little tiny subtle things which will help, a person's game get to the next level. But then also he has the tricks and the techniques that I can get from him as well. And that not a lot of people can get from their spouses. And it's cool to be able to come home and talk to him about, hey, I was having trouble with this move, what was I doing wrong? And then he can tell me or show me or whatever. And it's cool because we can bond over that stuff.
For sure. Now, I interviewed him recently before he was supposed to fight at Bellator up here in Mohegan Sun, and that fell apart. I don't actually know the specifics as to why his fight fell apart. Was it something to do with him? Is he injured, and is he supposed to fight again at some point soon?
He's actually, yes, going to be fighting soon, as far as I know. I'm not 100% sure what I can leak. I know there's some stuff on the internet, so um, um, I can kind of point you towards the right direction. My MMA News has a pretty good article about it, so you can see that he is going to be fighting, and it is soon.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. He's always exciting to watch compete. Now, as far as your career goes in the evolution here, 10th Planet BJJ, one of the best places around. How has this particular camp been leading up to your professional debut?
This was probably the funnest and the hardest and the just most gosh, well-rounded camp that I've ever had. Um, I'm in camp along with Alimala McFarland and Juliana Killer Miller, and they've been helping me out with, all my trainings. We're all in it together. We're doing the same trainings all together, going up against each other with our stand up, with our ground, with our wrestling, all that stuff. And it's tough because, I mean, number one, they're a whole entire weight class above me, but number two, they're world class athletes. So, it's great the amount of training that I have and the caliber of training that I have, and the trainers that are behind it as well. So it's been tough, but it's, like I said, it's been great, and it makes me feel even more confident.
That's exciting to hear. Now, this LFA card is going to be in Park City, Kansas. Tell me, when do you leave? What are the restrictions going to be like? Are you going to have to quarantine and test multiple times? Have they elaborated on what that's going to be like for you?
Well, I am a, undercard prelim, whatever you want to call it. And so one of the earlier fights, I'm basically leaving Wednesday morning. Weigh-ins are Thursday morning. So when I land, I have less than 24 hours to cut my final pounds. So I'm leaving a little bit lighter than I probably would have liked to, but at the same time, like, it's under control. I'm planned it out, easy to do. As soon as I land, basically they shove a cotton swab up my nose and test, for COVID. And I haven't been doing anything stupid, so it should come back normal. And then as far as that, just literally just once I land, work, 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 fight, and then come home.
And you already said that there will be no fans in attendance. How do you think that's going to affect you? Are you one of those fighters that really gets amped up by the crowd, or are you just going to be dialed in regardless if there's screaming fans in attendance or not?
I haven't really been in a place where it's just a crazy amount of attendees. I've been in the amateur world where you have a few hundred people, and it's, yeah, of course it's gonna amp a fighter up, but at the same time, like my last fight, I couldn't hear the claps, the last 10-second claps, and I couldn't hear them at all because everyone started clapping, and so therefore I didn't even know that there was 10 seconds left, and I was a little bit pissed off. And so being able to hear the claps will be phenomenal, and then being able to hear every word that my corner, Shane, is going to be telling me is going to be crucial to everything. And I think it's a good segue to becoming pro, because then I can get those little jitters out while still being composed and hearing things and experiencing things, and minus the crowd.
Mhm. Tell me about this opponent, Loveth Young. Like, how do you feel you match up with her? Where do you see holes in her game?
She's a tough girl. She has three pro fights already. She has one and one, and she's shorter than me, so that's to my advantage, I believe. Keeping her at distance is going to be key. I think her being short is a huge goal or hole in her game, and that's just her physio or anatomy. It's just gonna happen. She is strong, though. I mean, you look at her and her, she's got a lot of muscle. Doesn't scare me, though. Like I said, I train against the 125ers. I'm fine. So I think that it's gonna be a stand and bang brawl.
So after your last fight, a unanimous decision, you're not used to that. You're used to getting these finishes. I got to imagine maybe you're coming back in this fight looking for blood, looking to get a finish. How do you see this fight ending?
I think yeah, somebody's gonna finish somebody in this fight. I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna go to a decision. I hope not. I want it to be short. I want to come out with as minimal injuries as possible, so that way I can get right back into training and then potentially get another fight if it's possible before the end of the year. But even just getting one fight is fine. I'm cool with that. But I think yeah, I think it's gonna she's a person who likes to stand and bang, and I don't mind doing that either. But at the same time, if I see an opening, I'll take you down.
So, as far as your career trajectory goes, obviously, as we talked about earlier, everyone's goal has to be the UFC. If you're in this game and you turn pro, that's where you want to go. How do you see your next few fights evolving in 2021? Like, where do you hope that you are within the next calendar year?
I mean, I would love to, just rack up the wins and catch the eye of the UFC. I think that's, like you said, every fighter's goal. But it's just honestly, it's just one step at a time. It's I have this fight, focusing on that, focusing on getting the win, and then the next one, same thing. Just and that's kind of what my I guess blinders are, is just more right here, right now. And eventually good things will come because I work hard and it'll pay off in the end.
Well, very exciting. I know a lot of people support you and are very pumped for this professional debut of yours. Again, Reena Norville will face Loveth Young, LFA 94 on October the 30th. It is right around the corner. Reena, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate you being on the show for the first time. Before I do let you go, if there's anyone you'd like to thank or any sponsors that you have, the floor is yours.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to, say thank you to my sponsors, Vital Proteins, for keeping me sharp and energy throughout camp. Punch Gunk for recovering my body. South Coast Mitsubishi, and Upgrade Marketing, my manager Julian, and you can catch me on Twitter at Mean Bean Reen, and Instagram Reen_Bean_.